Hi, it's Dr. Steve from Misericordia University, and welcome to Program Retention, Essential Functions, and Certification Exams, part of TED100 Education Seminar. In this video, let's take a look at the TED guidebook, in particular, talking about TED retention. Let's look at certification exams, the second set of exams that you take according to major, and then we'll conclude by looking at essential functions of teachers in the field and a few other quick things as well. First, today, let's take a look at retention in the TED program. Here is a graphic that shows the steps that everyone takes progressing through the TED program. Now, realize that this is based on a 4-year student taking a 4-year path through the program. If you're a transfer student, some of these steps are moved up a little. In the freshman year, or the first year you're with us, we have certain exams and certain things we do, and so on through senior year. Let's take a better look at these pieces. Before we examine each of these rungs in the ladder, let's talk briefly about the probation policy within the program. All of our students meet a series of requirements to remain in what we call good standing within the program. So 2 times a year, the faculty review all of our students' work to determine to see whether you have met all of these requirements and to make sure that you're on track. If you're not on track with these steps, you might receive a letter from our department. Now, it won't be from the institution, but rather from our department, and it may state that you're placed on departmental probation. So this doesn't really mean you're going to be in jail. What it means is that it'll be a probationary period for a semester, and then the faculty can review your progress with you and help you remove that probation status and make sure that you get back on track with the requirements not only of the university, but more importantly, with the state of Pennsylvania. So what are the steps? Well, the first step is your first year with us. And that first year, you'll be taking the 100 level courses, known as the freshman level courses. You'll be expected to attain a cumulative GPA of 2.8. Now remember, we say that the state of Pennsylvania requires a 3.0, but for your first year, or if you're a transfer student for your first semester, a 2.8 is very acceptable. You have to earn a C+ or better in all of the TED courses. Remember, that's not in core courses, but all in the major in TED. You have to attain satisfactory grades in both freshman field experiences, and we expect that you'll earn a satisfactory grade in the English 151, and also you'll be looking at doing that for math, the 2 math courses as well. You're asked to join and participate in the education club and to complete the hours of service that are required in the department. You're asked to show evidence of meeting the basic skills requirement. And we've talked a lot about that, so you know there are several ways that you can attain that, but in some way you have to meet the basic skills. You have to be able to get through the clearances and obtain those professional clearances. Faculty will verify that you are respecting university and department's academic integrity policies. And finally, you'll complete the first round of the professional dispositions checklist. Now don't worry about that, because as part of this seminar, we're going to complete that document. Now, let's move up to the second step on this staircase, and that is the sophomore year, or for transfer people, the equivalent of it. By the end of sophomore year, or for transfer folks, That means when you accumulate approximately 60 credits in the institution, a very important thing happens, and that is known as candidacy. Now, what this means is all first and second year TED students, or people under 60 credits, are certainly full members of the TED, but we're technically known as pre-candidates in the eyes of the Department of Education. Now, at this stage, which for transfer people, we look upon it as before you start taking 300 level courses, which would be junior courses, and specifically the junior practicum, your first practicum experience, you have to apply for formal program admission, and that leads to candidacy. Realize that formal program admission, also known as candidacy, is not an institutional thing, but rather it's by state law. So TED students who are not formally admitted to TED at that point are not allowed to take advanced level TED courses. So this is a very significant time. When you're accepted as a candidate in TED, you're basically halfway through the program, and PDE respects that you're definitely en route to becoming a teacher. Formal admission is based on all of the things listed here on the screen, which is everything we've talked about up till now. It accumulates. The GPA now should not be 2.8, but rather is expected by state law to be 3.0. In your sophomore year, you'll formally apply for candidacy by completing a form. And here you'll see part of the form, facsimile of it. You'll notice that we're going to ask for your cumulative GPA, which you know has to be at 3.0 to be entered into the program formally. We're also going to ask about those basic skills tests, or the requirement, in case you did it through courses or through SAT or ACT test. At this time, we'll also be verifying that you respect the academic integrity policies of the university and the department, that you've completed the statements of understanding. Now, we're going to do that in this seminar. That you've completed the professional dispositions checklist. Again, don't worry, we're going to do that during the seminar. And verification that you have started a professional portfolio with your advisor. And your advisor will handle that with you. No fears on that. As part of this form, you'll also be asked to indicate which classes you're either currently taking or have taken already, and verify that you have indeed gotten a C+ or better in the TED courses. Once you complete that form and it's submitted, then you'll be formally accepted into TED, and you're recognized by PDE as a TED candidate. Congratulations and welcome officially to the program. Now, what are the common reasons for someone not being admitted to the TED program during candidacy? There are two reasons, most common. Number one, your GPA is too low. Remember that state law requires a 3.0 GPA, so maybe you haven't quite hit that at this point. So no problem, we can work on that with you. Second, you probably did not pass all of the 3 basic skills requirements, or you did pass them and you didn't show proof of that or let your advisor know about it. So those are the 2 common reasons why someone is not admitted to TED. So the sophomore activities are really significant. Now let's take a look. Now that you're a candidate accepted into the program formally, now let's look at the junior year activities. The junior year activities will look surprisingly like the sophomore level activities. In fact, they are the same, with the difference being that now for your fields, you're going to be going through Practicum 1 and Practicum 2. And in our seminar, we're going to talk about the difference between the freshman and sophomore fields and the practicum. At the end of your junior year, you'll be applying for student teaching. Wow, that time really moves fast. Having considered the first 3 years of activity, let's now move into the senior year. During your senior year, there are 2 major things that you do besides wrapping up some courses. Number 1, you're going to take the appropriate final set of exams required by the state of Pennsylvania in order to be certified as a teacher. And we're going to take a look at those in a moment. The second major thing is, of course, you'll complete a student teaching experience. Now let's talk about the tests and teacher certification for a moment. There's good news and bad news in Pennsylvania about the test scores. And you might not be surprised about this because we talked about this regarding the basic skills as well. The bad news is that the passing scores for these tests in Pennsylvania are higher than in most states. Now, because of that, there's a good news part. And that is because these passing scores are higher than in most states, it's really easy for you to transfer your credentials to another state. So you can be certified in Pennsylvania and then go on to transfer your certification to New Jersey, New York, or many places throughout the entire country. So Pennsylvania certification is highly respected. Now in your senior year, you'll select certification exams that are based upon your major or majors. So if you're early childhood, you're going to take certain tests. If you add special ed as a dual major to early childhood, then you'll take some additional modules of testing. Mid-level will take specific tests, and so will secondary ed. There are 2 different sites where you can sign up for these tests, and you can see them indicated on the screen. Early childhood and special ed will both sign up at the pa.nesinc.com, and all the other majors sign up at ets.org. Let's take a better look at these tests. Now, it's a little early maybe to be looking at all the particulars about senior level tests for certification, but to be thorough, let's just get an overview of what these tests are. For early childhood and also early childhood special ed, you'll take the basic skills. Hopefully you've already passed through those or are working on those right now. And then you take PECT tests. And again, you're going to take the tests that are appropriate to your major or majors. If you're doing pre-K to 4 by itself, then you take 3 modules of certification test to certify in that area. Now, if you're taking special ed, then there are additional modules of testing that you take as well. If you're a mid-level major, you'll certainly also take basic skills and satisfy that. And then you'll be taking this test by ETS that's grades 4 through 8 core assessment. Again, they're computer-based. All of the tests for certification are. And when you sign up to take that, you'll actually be taking the 3 tests that are listed underneath on this screen. A pedagogy, which means how you teach, subtest. You'll be taking English, language arts, and social studies subtest, and math and science subtest. Further, mid-level people will take the appropriate concentration tests depending on those that are included in your major as you've chosen. So if you're social studies and science, or if you're English and social studies, or if you're math and science and so on, you would select those particular tests to complete. For secondary ed majors, again, everyone satisfies basic skills, but then you select the one test here that is appropriate to your particular major. So we have a specific test by ETS for biology, for chemistry, citizenship, English, and math. Now, regarding all of these tests, don't worry. First of all, people normally do very well in these tests compared to basic skills, because basic skills is not something that's covered at the college level. Remember, that's all high school level material. All of these tests that we're referring to here for all majors are things that you learn at Misericordia. And second of all, don't worry about the sign-up and so on, because your academic advisor will help you through that whole process. As we wrap up considering the test that you take for certification, don't forget that when you take a test or when you receive a score report on a test, it's vital that you make a copy or take a scan of it, take a picture of it, and provide that to your advisor. It's important because a lot of people think, well, Misericordia will get a copy of that. Well, even if Misericordia does receive a copy, your advisor and the TED department may not, and we're the ones who have to show that to PDE. So make sure that you give a copy to your advisor. One or two final thoughts about certification. When you complete the TED program and student teaching, and you've taken all of the certification tests, then you're a candidate for Instructional 1 certification by PDE. Now realize that Pennsylvania Department of Education provides this certification and no university directly provides that to you. But we'll help you through the process in applying for it. We already mentioned that it's possible to transfer your certification to another state, and that process is known as reciprocity. So while it's not automatically just done, you can convert your certificate into a certificate in another state with pretty much ease. Talk to your advisor if you're planning to do this in order to get a little more information. To support this process, Misericordia and the state of Pennsylvania is involved with the National Association of State Directors of Teacher Ed and Certification. So we're involved in their interstate agreement, which means that you have the ability to transfer your credentials with a lot more ease. Again, talk to your advisor for additional information, or wait to hear about all of this around your student teaching experience. As we're talking about teacher certification and teaching in Pennsylvania, we would love for you to stay in Pennsylvania if you would like to. So let's look at two aspects of that right now for a moment. Number one, there was a study performed recently, and according to their rankings, Pennsylvania, and specifically in our region of Pennsylvania, was listed as the 8th best place to be a teacher in the country. If you'd like to see more, just pause the video and take a look at the snippet of the article here. And number two, let's mention the teacher shortage. Here you can see part of an article from, again, a local newspaper that was featured recently, talking about teacher departures, leaving schools scrambling for teachers. Here you can see information from a study that was conducted in 2020. Now realize that we're talking here pre-pandemic. So the supply of teachers, according to the study, in Pennsylvania has declined dramatically, starting from comparing the 2011-12 academic year through 2017-18. The number of Instructional 1 licenses, which is what you get when you graduate from college and get your initial certification, has decreased by at least 49% for all subject areas. And across all subject areas, there have been dramatic declines in the number of newly licensed teachers as well. Now that's some pretty serious stuff. So the good news is for teachers, new teachers coming out of college in particular, that you will have a much easier time finding a job And not only can you locate these jobs in different states throughout the United States, but also in Pennsylvania as well. So the job outlook is looking up for teachers. The last topic we're going to cover in today's video is the essential functions. To be an effective teacher, a graduate of our TED program has to possess all kinds of knowledge and skills and abilities. Those who qualify for admission and retention in the program must not only meet the academic requirements, but there are also certain expected performance requirements as found in many jobs. Before we look at those essential functions, realize that if you have a physical, mental, or any other disability that requires special accommodation to meet the TED requirements, then we encourage you to contact Misericordia's Office of Student Disabilities. Once documentation of a plan of accommodation is received, then TED is going to work to make reasonable accommodations and try to help you to meet all the requirements of the program. So let's take a look now at what are those physical requirements that any teacher would be expected to be able to do. There are a number of essential functions for teachers to be able to perform their job. So let's quickly review each one of them. Our first essential function involves sensing or perceiving visual and auditory stimuli. And what this means is that teachers need to be able to have adequate near vision and also far vision to be able to properly function in the job of teaching. Also, you have to be able to hear well enough to be able to evaluate students' presentations and their responses and everything that they're saying and doing. So what this means is really teachers see and hear everything. Teachers need to be able to sense and perceive multiple stimuli. What this means is our job is busy. We have a lot of students talking and doing different things at the same time. As a teacher, we need to be able to work comfortably in that type of environment. Also, we have to have perception and empathy. Perception means that we have to be able to read and interpret and react to students' emotions. And empathy means that we need to be able to understand and react appropriately to the students' emotional states. So what that means is teachers understand and we care for our students. Teachers need to be able to exercise temperance and emotional control. What this means is teachers are expected to behave professionally in all situations. So our teachers need to demonstrate that we can control our emotional reactions and not overreact to people and to events. So what this means is teachers are in control. Teachers have to be able to exhibit positive time management and also organizational skills. And what that means is teachers are organized. Teachers have to be able to understand printed language. We have to be able to understand spoken language. And we also have to be able to use spoken language, meaning use appropriate voice so that students can hear us and understand us as appropriate to specific different types of situations. What this means is teachers are great communicators. Teachers need to be able to exhibit gross motor activities, meaning you can move around quickly, because we do have a very active job where we have to move. And also we have to exhibit fine motor activities, meaning that you should be able to use your fingers and your arms and so on in order to physically manipulate different items. This means that teachers can physically function effectively. teachers need to be able to demonstrate strength and stamina. When you think about it, a teacher's job means we're on our feet for long periods of time. And sometimes you have to be able to restrain a student, work with students in different ways. So you have to show that strength and stamina, which means that teachers have great strength. Just a few more essential functions are left. One of them is critical and analytical thinking. Teachers need to be critical thinkers and decision makers. We have to be able to solve problems as they arise. We have to be able to identify cause and effect relationships and then again make decisions related to student learning and student behavior, classroom management strategies. This means that teachers are great thinkers. Teachers need to be able to demonstrate interpersonal skills. When you think about it, teachers are expected to interact with really a wide variety of people, from their students to parents and guardians to various colleagues, staff members, administrators. We have to be able to interact and communicate effectively and respectfully with all of these different constituents. This means that teachers can work with anyone. And finally, teachers need to be able to maintain a safe environment for their students. We have to be able to recognize and react in a timely manner to emergency situations. And this means that teachers can handle any emergency and keep themselves and their students safe. So, if an artist were to listen to all of these essential functions that a teacher has to be able to perform, what kind of drawing of a teacher would that artist draw? Here's what I picture: Superman or Superwoman. Teachers are a special breed of people who can do a really important job and serve their students well. Remember, having looked at all these essential functions, if you feel that you cannot demonstrate any of these skills or abilities, you need to request accommodations. If your health status changes and you're no longer to participate in the classroom setting, it's important that you notify the TED department chair. For more information regarding how to request reasonable accommodations, please refer to the Misericordia University undergraduate catalog or go directly to the MU Director of Student Success Center for Students with Disabilities. One more quick thought before we go. Regarding student organizations, remember that all TED students are expected to be active members of the MU Education Club. And we've talked a lot about that in our class, and we had an opportunity to meet the officers of the club, and the club has already held one set of meetings. So if you have any questions, just let me know. In addition to the Ed Club, you're encouraged to look at some other clubs. Now, you don't have to join any of these clubs, but here are some recommended organizations if you'd like to be in the know in the field of teaching. Early childhood majors may want to join the student version of the National Association of Educators of Young Children, known as NAEYC, or the International Reading Association. Special ed majors may want to join the Council for Exceptional Children. Mid-level majors, the Association for Middle Level Education, is definitely the organization for you. In secondary education majors, each one of our majors has a particular professional organization to which you can belong. Now, why would you want to join in any major any of these organizations? Well, it keeps you in the know. It tunes you in as to what's happening in the field of education, especially in your particular area of concentration. And as a student member of most of these organizations, you're able to join very inexpensively and still have access to all of their printed materials and online materials. In other words, it really helps you prepare for a job, and it also looks very good on a resume. Finally, there's one other special organization to which you might want to apply, and that is our International Honor Society for Educators, known as Kappa Delta Pi. Now, there are certain qualifications. There are certain GPA requirements and a certain minimum number of credits. Pretty much, if you qualify as a junior or senior at our institution and are in good standing in our program, you should definitely take a look into this, joining this organization. Information is sent out every spring by Dr. Laughlin, who is the head of the chapter here on our campus. So watch for that and do think about applying. I hope you enjoyed this video presentation, and thank you for your kind attention. Looking ahead, we've got several more sessions of TED100 and 190, and we're also going to, in that time period, we're going to have you trained and certified in the Virtus Child Abuse Awareness Training. We're also going to hear from several other people, including Mr. Joe Reddington, who is our registrar, dealing with curriculum and course information and registration. Have a great week, and look forward to seeing you in class next time.